Yale and K-State. And Yale couldn't offer him a basketball scholarship, so I don't think Ed regrets picking K-State over Yale.
He defines Coach Hartman, I think, in a lot of ways. Unrecruited, Coach took guys like that and made them great players. Now that's a two-way street. Ed had a lot of ability. One of the great rebounders in the history of this program. And the guy I'm not sure could jump over the Manhattan phone book. But by grit, by effort, by smarts, positioning, made himself an outstanding player, made himself a pro.
Ed was limited athletically, and yet he had a pretty good NBA career. And you know why? Because he listened to Coach Hartman. And they kind of fought a little bit at the beginning. I mean, Jack tried to get him to shoot more. He had a good shot.
He could really light it up from long range, and you're thinking, man, here's this guy. He doesn't look real athletic. He looks a little tubby, in fact, and he's out there bombing away and actually making shots.
And he wouldn't shoot it. I don't know how many times I saw him turn down an 18-foot shot, and Hartman's there yelling, shoot the ball! But Ed did all the team things. He set screens. I mean, he set some mean, sometimes illegal picks in that lane to get guys open. And he would attack the basket. And when he got his hands on the basketball, it was like an octopus. It was like suction cups pulling it down, and it was his.
He made a science out of rebounding. I mean, the shot went up, and he told me he knew through his dad's coaching when he was in high school that he could tell in mid-flight sort of the angle the ball was going to come off the rim. I don't know if that's just talk or if he really had it figured out, but it's like he did figure it out because the greatest rebounder in K-State history, and he was just in the right place at the right time on every missed shot, whether it be on offense or defense.
He got everything out of his ability. I'd never seen a guy that understood the geometry of rebounding quite the way he did. When the shot went up from here where the ball was going to be, and he was generally there.
And he also, a lot of people that talk about this, had a brilliant outlet pass. He would grab that rebound, he would keep the ball over his head, he would turn, pivot, fire it out. Jankovic knew exactly where to go. He'd catch it on the wing, they'd shovel it to Tyrone Adams, and Adams would dunk it home, or Rolando Blackman. So we got so many points off of Ed Nealy outlet passes that may not result in assists, but he was making the pass that went to the guy who made the assist for the dunk.
He was just a solid, sound basketball player is what he was. He was well schooled in the fundamentals.
I remember Ed Nealy stepping to the foul line at Allen Fieldhouse and draining a couple of free throws to beat Kansas in a Saturday afternoon game. It was one of the Big 8 games of the week, and sitting there watching Nealy pump his fist as he beats KU with a couple of big free throws. Jack Hartman loved his game, loved his toughness, and the consummate workman. You think of a guy who you call a blue-collar worker in basketball, Ed Nealy was that.
He was truly a blue-collar Kansas-type kid that just milked every bit out of his ability, not just at Kansas State, all through his NBA career. You know, every time a guy like Ed Nealy was written off, he'd end up on the roster again. He's an absolutely incredible player.
He's a tremendous overachiever and just had a lot of heart to be able to do what he did, and for as long as he did. I mean, he was a productive guy with the Kings and ended up with the Bulls and got a championship ring out of the deal.
I've been watching basketball since the mid to late 60s, and he's one of the top 2 or 3 rebounders I've ever seen. He was wide and strong and just tough as nails. I don't know if even at that time I have the appreciation for what he was doing as I do now looking back on it. He really was an unbelievable player.
You know, Ed's not going to ever win a 40 or a sprint down the court, but every time he looked up, he had 20 points and he had, double-figure rebounds. And great player, great person, and I think a guy that maybe along with Coach Kruger kind of epitomizes what Coach Hartman did here. He took guys that were small-town Kansas guys and achieved great things with them.